Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do start, let us give a brief little review. In the last part, a number of events have happened. Now, we had Deku, and we also had Charlie. We also had Amy. Now, Deku and Charlie have spent a few hours out at Amy's parents' ranch, aka Sam and Sharon. Now, Amy and Charlie, they talked to one another, and Charlie brought one thing up. Her father rewrote the letter that talked about when her mother ran away, when her mother abandoned her. And there's an inconsistency there. Shannon left whenever Charlie was supposed to be 2 or 3. Amy is 21, and her birthday just passed not too long ago. So, what does that tell you? There is a small period where Charlie and Amy, it's possible maybe they might be sisters. Not half, possibly full. Considering the fact is, Charlie doesn't know whenever her mother actually ran off. And Amy, yeah. If she ran off whenever Charlie was 2 years old, and Amy's 21, there's a problem there. Now, that's where things currently are. And Charlie brought it up to Amy. And Amy had a bit of a midlife crisis. The idea that her father may not actually be her dad, biologically, screws her head. It just, something did not seem right about that. And Amy, she and Charlie left to go pick up some drinks from a friend. Now, with that being said, Charlie and Deku also had a bit of a conversation. Charlie was quite surprised to hear that Deku, he's not opposed to the idea of starting a family. I mean, Charlie is scared of being married because there are a few steps that happen afterwards. But the same thing was similar whenever they started dating. They start dating, they eventually start kissing. And they eventually have a few steps that lead to, the tango. Now, that's how Charlie was. She was worried about how things would be there. Would they be awkward? But that has already passed. And now there is this. I mean, the idea of marriage, a future, and a baby. Which she doesn't even understand how to deal with right now. Especially because she's got her own mommy issues. Now then, with that being said, let's start there. Everybody, they sat down for dinner. Charlie is still a little high. And right now, she is trying her best not to freak out. And currently Sam, he is at a walk-in. Him currently going to hold a bit of a platter, expressing about it. Izuku helped him a bit today, so he actually pulled out some of the finer cuts of meat. They got some hot links here, they got some brisket over here, and he doesn't know how much they really eat, but they also have some salad over there, and they also have some ribs right here. The man going to bring up a knife. Him also going to bring up some tongs, clicking them twice, it's mandatory, and going to grab some food. Him talking about it. Expressing. Alright, well, today's been quite the eventful day. So, how about they all chat a bit? Sam going to bring up. He wants to know where Amy took the truck earlier. Because he heard that they left. Was something wrong? No, Dad. Me and, Charlie, we went to go see that friend of yours. Oh. Uh, him. Yeah. Was that fine? You're alright. Though, anything happen out there? No, Dad. It was fine. He's just a little jumpy right now. Is he now? Huh. Yeah. I can't blame him. He heard reports about the villain attack and stuff like that going on around the city. He'd be a little jumpy. Though, he didn't shoot at you guys, did he? What? No, Dad, no. We honked the horn and he heard us come up. So, we were fine. That's good. So, I'm still gonna turn, looking at Charlie, ask her if she enjoyed, well, moonshine. I did. It was surprising. I thought I was gonna puke. I was gonna look at Deku. As Deku did this, I'm gonna bring his hand up to his throat, talking about how that stuff actually does burn. And Sam does, I'm gonna start laughing a bit. As right now, Shannon does finally go to open her mouth. You know, everyone turning towards her. The first time I had moonshine, it was certainly something. Her currently cutting into a hot link. Shannon says to bring it up, talking about it. The first drink or first sip, it always does make you go bug-eyed, especially because you don't really expect it to be that strong. Though, well, whenever you expect the burn but don't expect it to be that, well, you know. I think what she's trying to say is, Shannon, the first time I introduced her to that stuff, she was kind of knocked on her ass, though she did lose her lunch. What do you mean? I saw it in a small mason jar and I thought it was vodka. So I knocked a few sips of it back and I then downed my chaser. And that was my biggest mistake. She swallowed about half the jar, and then she did not like the rest of the night. That sounds bad. Yeah, yeah, it was. Though I got better afterwards, especially after I had time. You said your career failed, right? I did, Charlie. And there are reasons for that. Can I? Okay, there's a bit of an elephant in the room. Everyone turns towards Amy. And Amy just talk about it. Okay, how about they stop the Mexican standoff and just ask each other what they want to ask? Because she knows that she kind of has a bit of a question to ask, and it's gonna be a really, really fucking hard one. Now, Joy's gonna turn to Amy, as right next to look back at her mom and gonna ask the question. One that will answer everything. Why and when did she abandon her? When currently Shannon is going to turn back over to Charlie and then look towards Amy. Why and when? The specifics of that question, they kind of are strange. But they do somewhat hit Shannon. And right now she doesn't look down. Her staring at her plate. We're going to look back up. Charlie, how much has your father told you? He said that I was 2 or 3. But if that's the case, then is Amy my actual sister? Now, Sam does somewhat go to drop his fork. Right now, him's going to turn and stare directly at Amy, a bit confused. Wait, what's going on here? Uh, eh, why would you ask that? Because it's a legitimate question, Mom. Now, currently Deku does a turn, seeing that Charlie is kind of losing her cool. And Deku does bring his hand up, him putting on her shoulder, as Charlie does bring up her arm and shrug him off, talking about it. All her life she thought that she was dead. All of her life she thought she was just murdered by somebody. Maybe she died of an illness, something. Dad never talked about her. And then, almost a month ago, after her dad has a fucking heart attack, she finds out all of this shit. She's been through it. She's been through life. She never had a mom who could teach her anything, who could help her with anything. All she had was dad. That's all she ever had. And the first thing she finds out, she abandoned her to become a fucking music star. That fucking skydived, nosedived, and then what happened? She never came home. She never came home. Now, currently everyone is somewhat stare at Charlie. Charlie with a bit of tears in her eyes. Her yelling out. So what the fuck happened? When did it happen? Because she's pretty sure her dad lied in this fucking letter. Now, Shannon does a somewhat stare at Charlie. Her, somewhat looking ashamed. As for Sam, he does a somewhat turn and look down at his meal. Him, calm. And the man he is silently eating as the argument does continue. And Deku, he does stare up to see the man, who does look up towards Izuku with a bit of anger on his face. However, he is staying calm. And that's a bit surprising to Deku. The man wants to yell and scream, but he's not. He's remaining calm and rational. And honestly, that's kind of amazing right now, especially after Charlie just said what she said. Now, Amy doesn't want to jump in. The two have been together for a long time. How long is it? That's kind of what she wants to know. And her she has a turn to her daughters, Amy and Charlie. The two turned out remarkably similar. However, one she was never there for, while the other she raised practically on her own. Times were changing. And right now Shannon does try to figure it out. The best way to explain it, the best way to get all of this sorted in her head. And right now she's going to stand up. Her expressing, she's going to be right back. Now, Shannon walks into the kitchen. Her rummaging around for a few things as she finishes to walk back into the room. Her currently with a mason jar in her hand. Her walking over and setting it down. Before going to slam down 3 shot glasses and open it up. Her pouring 3 shots as her and Charlie has to sit there. Her thinking that her mom might need to relieve the situation, relieve all the tension, and calm all of their nerves. However, then she does going to do one thing. She knocks one back, slams it down, picks up the second, knocks that one back, and slams it down. Then she looks at the third one, just says fuck it, and slams it down, and then throws it directly down onto the table. Her shaking her head before looking up, and going to relax her shoulders. And Deku just won't stare on. Well, that just happened. Charlie, I'm sorry, okay? What do you want me to tell you? I want you to tell me the truth. I am telling you the truth. I didn't abandon you whenever you were 2 years old. I didn't abandon you whenever you were 3. I abandoned you before your first birthday. What? Yes. Amy, hers not gonna turn. Bring her hand up. Talking about it. Amy is your daughter. She is your blood. But the truth is, she tried going back. She couldn't find anything. She tried going back home in Georgia, and she couldn't find John or her. She was angry, surprised. John moved, and he didn't notify her. He never tried to call her or reach out. And she just doesn't know. He changed his phone number, and that was it. And Charlie's somewhat taken aback. She didn't know that last part. Her father changed his phone number. And that means he practically fell apart in the world with her mother. She lost her family. And all he did was pick up and move. However, she never really tried too much afterwards. And that is Charlie's main concern. Her still gonna raise her voice and shout about exactly what happened after that. I mean, where did she go? How long did she search? How long did she look around before she found nothing? It's the age of the fucking internet. You should be able to find everybody. And that is what makes Shannon sit there a bit more silently. Her, somewhat, folding her hands in a fist before there actually is Amy. Amy does feel somewhat relieved. And right now she has a turn. Her grabbing the jar and going to actually hand it over to Charlie. And Charlie's going to turn and look down at it. Her going to just, stare at it for a second before looking back up. And continue to shout. She wants to know what happened. How long did she try being a musician before she tried coming home? That's the biggest question she wants. How long did she fucking try? And that is where Shannon is going to give an answer. She tried for 7.5 months. She couldn't make it as a musician. And that is where things are. She fucked up. After the first few months, she thought that she could land on her feet and do what she could. She had a local band, people who could help. But then guess what happened? She got scammed. She got money taken. They picked up with the music, didn't sign her, and they fucked her over. She never got a contract. And she thought that just meant that she was a free agent. But guess what? She didn't sign anything, and she wasn't even warranted to being paid for some of the music she did make. And that pisses her off more. So what did she do? She came back home to the few friends she had in Tennessee. And that certainly means quite a lot. All she had was a few people she knew she could rely on. That's all. Eventually, she met Sam, and the rest is history. They started a family, and then time passed. You never thought of me? I did. I don't. I thought I was just. You have to understand, Charlie. I was. I was only. You were only what? I was only 24 whenever I had you. What? I was only 24. I didn't know how to be a mother, Charlie. Honestly, I never had those instincts. I don't know. Your father and I, we were a thing. It was a fling, and when he got me pregnant, I didn't care. I thought I could still be the party girl, the musician, the girl who could pick up a guitar and play her heart out. I loved being that girl. And I'm sorry if it meant I couldn't be your mother. All right? I'm living with that regret now. Good. Good? Yes. Good. I I always imagined talking to you. You did? Yes. What I would hear, what you'd be like. But you're just I don't even know. Deku bring his hand up, and Drago's don't turn, as Deku see the tears on her eyes, and the anger and the sadness. However, he doesn't see it. He sees not the woman Charlie is, but the little girl who lost her mother. The little girl who wanted her mom to be there. The one who was always concerned, confused, a bit more, well, sad. Everybody else had parents. She just had dad. Even Deku had parents, but he lost them. And that does mean quite a lot. She's thinking right now would it be best for just her mother to be dead? And that question to her is hard. However, right now, Charlie, she doesn't look down. Her grabbing onto the mason jar and going to actually don't stand up. As Deku hears a turn to Charlie, him bringing his hand out and onto her arm. Her turning to him as Deku stare at Charlie. Her going to sit down as she has a turn to him. Deku pulling her into a hug. And right now Amy does sit there. As Shannon, she does feel a lot of regret. She's not too sure what to do. Not too sure what to say. And that does mean quite a lot. Though there actually is Sam. He does start to talk about it. He's not really too sure how to proceed here, but if he can say one thing, Hmm? Charlie, I might not be your father, but listen to me when I say this. I've seen Shannon say things over the years, do things. Sometimes she acts out a bit strangely. I never understood it. I didn't know why, but I got it now. She always talked about home. If it makes you feel better, she cries a lot when she talks about it. She has regrets, and now she's living with them, Charlie. You can't change the past. I know, but what? I still have to live with it. You do. Yeah, you do. But that gets easier. And let me tell you, hating your mother is not the best option. Then what should I do? Make amends. Talk to her. Shannon, the man's looking at her, expressing to her. Talk to her daughter. Maybe don't fuck this up. I'll be honest with her. She wanted so long to make this right. He's still a little annoyed at the fact she never told him the truth. But guess what? This is her bed and she'll lie in it. Now, talk to her fucking daughters and let them know. Let them understand a few things, and he's gonna go outside and have a cigarette. Now, the man is at least gonna stand up. I'm gonna turn and walk out of the room. As Deku, he has a turn and see that. Him looking at Charlie, as Renish at least turn to Deku. And there actually is Amy, who doesn't want to jump up. Her dad's not supposed to be smoking anymore, and that's her main concern. However, Deku, he has to jump up and walk out of the room, as the three are all left there. Now, Charlie has a lot she wants to say. However, Shannon does go to open her mouth. Now, Deku's gonna walk outside, and right now, if he does going to do so, he does gonna sit there, as there actually is Sam, who does sit on the stairs and just go to bring up the cigarette in his hand. Him somewhat rolling it between his fingers, as Deku does sit down. So, that, that happened. Yep. At least Amy's your daughter. There is that. Though I just... fuck. You alright? No. I'm trying my best to stay calm. Though I'm probably gonna be splitting logs in the morning. So this helps. You, you okay? No. Pissed off? Angry, and I know the moment I light this, I'm gonna hate myself more. Really? Mm-hmm. I already had to quit drinking a little bit. And now I can't even fucking smoke. You know, I got a question for you. Hmm? What? You ever drive a fast car? I drive a tractor. Right, right. You know how to drive stick, though, right? I do. Something my pa taught me. Right. Deku pulling his hand into his pocket, pulling out his keys as his hold them up, asking him if he didn't want to go for a cruise. And the man does want to stare at the keys. Him having Deku drop them in his hand as he just want to turn and stare out at the car. Him a lot more surprised, as they turn back to Deku, and his eyes say everything. Currently, that man, he does get behind the wheel, and he does get a little giddy being behind the wheel of something that has a lot of fucking horsepower and sounds amazing. Now, there actually is Charlie, her sister, and Amy. Right now there's a lot of tension in the room, and Amy, she's at least thankful to fuck, that her dad's actually her dad. So that is one set of weights off of her shoulders. So, trying to at least make sure these two don't kill each other. That's going to be a bit more difficult. Now, Shannon, she does show genuine remorse to being not there for Charlie. She even tries to talk about it. After she had her career fail, the day she realized it would not take off, she cried. She gave up being a mother for this. She gave up being a mother to be a failed musician in a town with barely a few bucks in her pocket, a car she lived in, and friends she relied on for a lot. She crashed at one of their places, and then she came back here. She figured something out. She came back to this town after she searched for Charlie and John. It turned up nothing. She didn't know what to do, so she just stayed here and worked. Eventually, she met Sam, and things were nice. He's a lovely man, and she doesn't know. She felt different. She doesn't know if it was that town or if it was just, well, if it was just John that was the problem. She'll be honest. That man's a little rough around the edges. And his sage advice, as she calls it, it's usually very, very blunt truth. If you can't do shit, you can't handle shit. If you can't do this shit may not happen. His philosophy is quite simple. Nothing's given to you but your name, and you have to earn and work for everything you will ever want. It's tough, but in the end, it will be rewarding. And Samuel has things quite similar. He always worked with his hands. He's willing to do a dirty job for a good, honest paycheck. And he likes honest work. That's all he's ever been. John, though, she's not too sure. He's, well, he's got a bit of a dark side sometimes. Maybe it was her fear of him, maybe. She doesn't fully know. She's just concerned about a lot. And that's where Charlie does want to stare at Shannon. She kinda gets it, but at the same time, she kinda doesn't. I mean, her dad has a dark side. He likes to hunt and, well, she kinda gets it, but he can also be kind of intimidating. But that's not the whole story about it. This isn't about him. Yeah, her dad's a mechanic. Yes, he has guns. Yes, he hunts. But that's all she really needs to know. She knows her dad in and out. She's seen him get ugly with people. She's seen him get mad. But this is about her mother. And she's trying to make it about her father. And Charlie defends the actions of her father. Her dad did a lot for her growing up. He was always there. Whenever she was a little girl, that man would drop everything to come running if he heard about a problem. Izuku's parents, they helped out. They knew how hard it was for that man to be a single father. But he did what he could. He gave her plenty of things growing up. He did a lot for her. She had a good life. It's one of the reasons she's who she is now. And if that changed, honestly, she doesn't know. Maybe it could have gotten better. But she ran. And that's where it's a bit challenging. Maybe she'd be maybe she'd at least learn from what Shannon did. If her and Izuku now, that does won't concern Charlie. Her burying her face in her hands, and her not trying to think. And Shannon does also stare at Charlie. A lot more alarmed. She'll learn from her example. Um, Something you need to tell me? No, no, shut up. I just, I need to think. Now, Amy does a turn to Charlie, and right now she's looking at her mom. Her at least trying to express that maybe her mom can give Charlie some advice. You know? Now, they're actually going for Deku, and John, or not John, Sam, do arrive back at the house. The place is still standing, thank God. There's no windows broken, there's no screaming, and the vehicles are all here. What miracle has been performed today? Now, currently the two do to walk back inside, and when they do to walk into the dining room, all of their plates are empty. And there actually is the fact that Shannon, Charlie, and Amy, they're all sitting there with glasses and talking about a few things. And John, he has his own watch on. They were gone for a little over 30 minutes. And right now they're actually Shannon's turn. Her somewhat smiling and talking about a few things. Right now her gonna start stand up and stumble over to Sam. Her a bit more happy about what's been going on. Since they may have actually found something to talk about other than her being a shitty mom. Now, things are looking up a bit. And currently Deku, he does find out why. Maybe you should probably think Mary. Now, currently Deku, him and Charlie, they do spend the night here. And the next morning, a few things do go to happen. Charlie is going to be staying in contact with her mom. And she does want to actually stick around, maybe. Maybe talk to her a bit more, get to know her. It's just a whole thing right now. And that's where she's at. She's just, it's a step, hopefully in the right direction, not the wrong one. Now, that's where things currently are. And there actually is Deku and Charlie. Charlie, she got some advice from her mom last night. And, well, taking advice from her, she was a bit skeptical. Though she was definitely a lot more happy after hearing it. It was some good advice. Now, with that being said, Charlie and her mom do try to build their relationship. And Deku and Charlie, eventually they do get to leave the ranch. And Deku, him and Charlie, they do somewhat plan a bit of things out. They break the news to John eventually, and Izuku, he does find a bit more of a different job. He does use the money he does have and spend it wisely. He does try to make a few investments here and there, but mainly he's a bit more concerned about his career. And that does turn out good. He does land on his feet. Now, with that being said, there actually is Deku and Charlie, and how a few things are. As right now a car does pull up to the ranch. Now, currently there actually is Deku, who does go to jump out and run around to the other side, as Charlie doesn't want to talk about it. Her bringing her hand up and grabbing onto a handlebar, as a ring does not shine from her finger. Now she is talking about it. She'll be okay. It's not that difficult for her to stand. She's not that fat. Charlie, you almost fell the other day. Besides, you'll be fine, right? I mean, it's... No, no, no. Hang on. One, two, one, no. Okay. You still got... The doctor thinks about probably 2 weeks, though coming to see your mom now is a really bad idea. I'll be fine, Izuku. Her getting to her feet. And right now, Charlie does somewhat stand there. Her gonna walk inside with her big ol' pregnant belly to say hi to her mom. And Deku, he does just walk in behind her. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and I do hope that that wraps up the story in a nice little bow. Now, I do hope I did give this idea some justice, and hopefully that does mean a lot. With that being said, the series has come to a close.